about, talk about today, Chad, is the stimulus that came out, I think on, what was it, August 9th, the executive order that President Trump passed that sounded like the Congress was bickering about, and Trump just decided to step in and swing the hammer and say, you know what, the American people need some help, so I'm going to sign this. So talk about what kind of help he's got us so far that happened over the weekend that probably a lot of people aren't even aware of.
Sure. Yeah. I was surprised. Friday closed out. The Senate adjourned without making a decision on the second stimulus. Frustrated Trump bypassed Congress and made four executive orders and some memorandums to just do some things. Now, some of that is being questioned this week, and there may be some legal hurdles behind some of it. But here's what we got. Here's what we know right now. And keep in mind, this is not replacing the second stimulus. Both sides of the aisle are still working on the second stimulus. It's going to happen. Everybody says it's a sure thing. The Democrats, they're at 3 or 4 million, and the Republicans, trillion, and the Republicans want to do 1 trillion. So they're just fighting back and forth on how much that second stimulus is going to be and where the money's going to go. But
sure,
what's probably going to happen there is there's going to be individual checks out again, and we're going to see some more small business loans wrapped up into that. But it hasn't happened yet. Trump was frustrated. He was tired of waiting. They've been talking about this since they resumed session July 20th. A lot of people said the last week of July we'd have an answer. We have not. So on Saturday, Trump said, here's what we got. We're going to do a few things, and some of them are awesome. Some of them are a little bit deceiving. Let's talk about the first one. The first one is going to be the easy one, student loans. Passed an executive order that said student loan interest is remaining at 0 for the rest of the year, and all student loan payments are deferred until 2021. So if you have student loans, you don't make any payments for the rest of the year, nor are you accruing any interest. Now, key piece of that is only for student loans that are not private companies. Anybody that's refinanced through a private company, Common Bond, Sophie, however you pronounce it, don't know what they're doing. They're not required to take this strategy that's passed by Trump. So private student loans, it doesn't apply to, but they may decide to do the same thing. So that's the number one piece. The number two piece is going to be the payroll tax side. They're calling it a payroll tax holiday or a payroll cut holiday. And what Trump has said is for the rest of the year, from September 1st through the end of the year, that payroll taxes for employees are not going to have to come out of checks or be paid. So as an employee, if you are a W-2 employee, the Social Security and Medicare portion, the 7.65% of your check, is no longer going to come out as taxes. So for
still got to pay it, but not right now, right?
That's right. So for the rest of this year, you're going to get more money per paycheck. But it is a deferral only. Trump does not have the power as the president to make decisions to forgive Social Security and Medicare payments. So as of right now, it is just a deferral. That means if you're a $50,000 employee, you're going to get about $1,000 more in your pocket between now and the end of the year. But come tax return time, you're going to have to pay that back. Either your refund is going to drop by $1,000 or the amount you owe is going to go up by $1,000. That is going to have to be recouped at some point unless Congress passes a forgiveness. But the president doesn't have that authority. So while you're seeing everybody celebrate payroll tax cut, payroll tax holiday, it's not really the Christmas in August everybody's panning it out to be. It is just a deferral. It is going to catch up with you, and nobody's going to see it coming. So be careful. You can't choose to opt out. You can't make choices. It's automatically going to happen. And here's the other thing to realize. This is no benefit to employers or self-employed or independent contractors. It is strictly just W-2 employee benefit. The employers still have to pay their portion. They have to pay their half.
Gotcha.
So that's what's going on.
So it doesn't sound that strong. It sounds almost more like he's just wanting to throw some volume in there rather than actually add some benefit. Or what are your thoughts?
He has done everything he had the legal authority to do. And I think maybe even cross some lines, pushing the envelope there.
Sure.
He doesn't have the authority to just make it go away or to say you don't have to pay it back. So he just provide an opportunity for more people to get more money per paycheck. And maybe under the assumption, if you're making less this year, it may not affect your tax return that much. If he gets reelected and can pressure Congress to pass a forgiveness, that may happen. Not sure what's going to happen in the future, but what we do know is a lot of people are going to get more money per paycheck and theoretically have more money to survive through this pandemic or to spend and stimulate the economy. So all in all, it's a way to get time value of money, more stuff going on now.
Yeah. $1
Now,
today.
another small piece item, the third out of this four, that didn't really move the needle, but it concerns people in your world, Hayden, from a rental real estate standpoint.
Oh, I saw this. It had me sweating just the
Absolutely.
thought of it. I was very scared. Go ahead.
He is trying to allocate funds as part of research or steps on the eviction memorandum of being able to evict people for foreclosures or from a landlord tenant situation. Now, it did not pass that you can't evict people or you can't foreclose. It passed that funds be allocated to figure out how to make that happen. We don't know what that looks like. We don't have any description right now. But if I'm a landlord and my tenant's not paying right now, I don't know the outcome for the rest of the year. If I can kick that tenant out, if I've got to maintain it, if I'm going to get some money from the government as part of the stimulus to make up for it. So big questions for real estate investors there, and mortgage companies that may need to foreclose. So it just brought some attention and some allocation of funds there, and we'll see what happens. Now, the biggest piece of this, the number 4 item, the biggest one as part of this executive order, unemployment. Unprecedented unemployment this year. For the first time ever, people were getting $600 extra unemployment on top of what's going on in your state. Self-employed people, independent contractors, they were getting $600 a week. All that went away and expired July 31st. So we spent a week with no additional unemployment or nothing going on from the federal side. Well, this executive order says we're not doing 600 anymore. The federal government's doing 400. We're making 400 the extra unemployment, but the state's got to cover 100 of that. So it's only costing the federal side 300. You don't need to know all those details. Just know unemployment is back available. Instead of 600 per week, it's 400 per week from the federal side. They backdated it till August 1st. It's through the rest of the year. So people are still able to draw unemployment. They're still able to draw the state side plus the 400 federal. Or if you're an independent contractor or self-employed, you're just getting the 400. It's all the same processes. Everything's the same there. It's just extending it out for the rest of the year so people have unemployment options. Their hope is, well, let me back up a little bit. What happened, people were not going back to work. They figured out.
Why would they? I heard from someone in California who's making like $4,000 a month or something on unemployment.
Man, 600 federal unemployment and 300 state. People are making $900 a week to sit at home. They're only making $700 a week at their job. They're not going back. So it's been cut in hopes that people will be incentivized now to go back to work and they can make more money at work than they can drawing unemployment. So that's what happened over the weekend. That's the executive orders, but there's something else huge kind of brewing behind the scenes. Trump made the acknowledgement on Sunday that he is also working on cutting tax brackets for this year for middle and low income. So there's a potential tax decrease or tax savings for middle to low income people. If you're in the 22% bracket, you may now fall in the 15. If you were paying 1,000 in taxes, you may be getting back 1,000 now.
So this may be a way to kind of protect the cut money we're talking about, right? Because if
that's right,
it's going to kick in next year and you change your tax bracket, well, you can still get that refund and save money.
That's right. You may save $1,200 in income tax, then have to pay 1,000 in Social Security or Medicare. So you net out about the same, or maybe $200 better. Don't know the details, but he did acknowledge that is in the works, and that's something he's working on doing. And here's the huge one. Here's the one that's going to shock me more than anything else and really going to make a huge economic impact. He acknowledged working on cutting long-term capital gain tax rates.
Yeah.
Right now, capital gain tax rates, if you sell an investment property, if you sell a rental property, if you sell a stock, anything you've been holding for more than 12 months, you're either paying 15% or 20% cap gain taxes. It doesn't go by your tax bracket. You get a beneficial tax treatment for being an investor, buying and selling something for a profit and holding it over a year. So right now, depending on where do you fall income wise, you sell something, you're either paying 15% taxes on the gain or 20. Well, the discussions, which has been mentioned twice now, is those are going to drop to 10%, maybe even 5 and 10%.
Whew.
So we may see incentives to sell property and for investors and real estate owners to sell property, because they can right now, if this holds true, and we don't know the timeline and we don't know how long it's going to last, all of that'll come out probably in the next 30 days. You can sell something and put an extra potentially 10% in your pocket. So if
from a return perspective, 10% doesn't sound like a lot, but from a return perspective, that can really boost returns by a ton, because 10% of gains can be a huge amount of money compared to what was just going to be not there. You know, you're talking about 10% gains on $1 million or $100,000. You're talking about an extra 10%, just, you know, juicy cherry on top right there of, you know, blowing up. So there's going to be a lot of incentive for these people to go out and, like we were talking about a little bit before, maybe even accept lower prices because they just want to sell it. They want to take advantage of it, you know. So talk about like the ripple effect of if that were to happen. What do you think? What would you advise a lot of your clients to do in this situation right now if that were to say go down to 10%?
Sure, absolutely. I think you be open-minded right now and you consider everything on the table. If we got a few things going on right now. Number one, in our area, real estate's still at a premium. Things are selling at an all-time high, residential and commercial right now. There's a lack of inventory. People have money. They're not sure where to stick it. They're a little concerned about the stock market. It's performing tremendous, even though the world's somewhat burning down. So real estate in my area and with the clients I'm interacting with, there's a high demand. So the prices are really high. Now, you tack onto that, for a buyer, rates are really low. You're getting into the twos on, I mean, that on some
Crazy.
loans. I mean, that's free money. That's
after inflation. Yeah.
I mean, it's insane. You lock in a 10 or 15, 20-year note in the twos.
I mean, 30 if you're doing
30 year
owner
in the twos.
occupancy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing some 2.25s. So there's a lot of incentive.
Geez, what bank is that, man? I hadn't seen that. Where you?
I'll share it with you. It's mostly on the residential side. But you got a buyer incentive right now because there's a high price and a lack of inventory. I mean, a seller incentive right now because there's a high price and a lack of inventory. You got a buyer incentive because there's low rates. Or now you throw into that mix a 10% reduced tax rate, and a buyer has more options because there's a lot more sellers coming to the market. They're willing to sell for less because they can sell for 10% less and still put more money in their pocket. They can sell now because there's more incentive for them to do so, to the tune of unlimited amounts. And the buyers are having more opportunity. It's generating inventory. And you take in your world, Hayden, a lot of the areas you operate in is the storage facility side. I mean, you look at a model, you buy a storage facility for $1 million. You come in, you do some improvements, you employ your models and your strategies, you build it up, you fill capacity. A few years later, we're sitting here and you can sell it for $3 million. That's a $2 million capital gain. You're talking about putting an extra $200,000 in your pocket as a seller. That's amazing. I mean, and you're uncertain what the future may hold. So as a potential owner, investor, seller, things look pretty good to sell right now all of a sudden, to the tune of $200,000 bonus that you didn't even know about last week. So that incentive, the way that's going to trickle down, it's going to create transactions. It's going to create more opportunity for buyers and sellers. It's going to create more things coming to the market. Real estate agents, commissions are going to go through the roof because of these transactions. Closing attorneys, people coming in, buying things and hiring contractors to fix them up. People coming in, adding things to their portfolio and hiring office staff to help manage them. people buying potentially dilapidated properties
Yeah.
and coming in and doing something useful with them. There's just a whole trickle down approach and effect here that I think we'll see from an incentive standpoint to really have some pretty big economic impact. Because keep in mind, this is not going to move the needle to the $100,000 rental owner. You know, the difference of $1,000 in your pocket or $500 in your pocket is not going to determine whether you buy and sell. But if we're talking $1 to $100 million properties, a million bucks to $100 million, you start talking about a tremendous number in your pocket. So we're talking about large transactions that typically don't change hands that often, that has the potential to do so right now with that 10% incentive.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I can already hear people saying, oh, well, if that happens, it's just going to be benefiting the wealthy. But the amount of manpower at every single level
Sure.
that's required to go into these things, it's going to be huge for every single sector, right? I mean, just it's not just going to be, oh, the wealthy are getting a tax break. It's going to be, oh, well, these people who own these assets are going to be trading things, causing jobs, causing the ball to roll. Things are not deadlocked. Things are probably moving faster than they've ever been moving before. I mean, have we ever seen a capital gains rate at 10%?
Yeah, not that I'm aware
What's
of.
the lowest it's ever been?
I'm not sure. And right now, historically, tax rates are at probably an all-time low. I don't think we'll ever see them this low. So not only are they low, we're about to potentially see a potential for a 5 or 10% decrease, which is unbelievable. Let's take the example in the storage facility I used earlier, $3 million
Sure.
storage facility. You take something like that as an incentive to sell and put another $200,000 in your pocket, or there's probably $150,000 to $180,000 of real estate commission coming out of that. This real estate agent is going to take those funds and go spend them somewhere. They may buy another house. They may buy cars. They may pay their employees more. They may go to the
Are going to
bar
market
more.
some.
Yeah, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a new owner coming in. He's potentially using the same operations or buying new software, buying new operations. He's replacing signs. The sign company's making money. They're hiring more people. You got contractors coming in, painting the facility. There's
Mm-hmm.
improvements there. You got tax accountants making more money because we're handling the transactions. You got closing attorneys. I mean, it goes on and on and on and
And not to
on.
mention, I just made a ton of money, so I'm going to go do it somewhere else. You know,
Oh,
I'm not just, I'm like, I'm going to do as much as I can while this tax is in the situation it is. So I'm going to go look for something else to do and just snowball that even further. I'm not just going to be like,
sure.
hey, thanks for the cash. I'm going to be like, let's do it again, you know?
Yeah, let's do it. Or man, I just made a pile of money. Let's go buy a rental house, or
Yeah,
uh
something.
let's do something. And
Yeah.
so I do see this being an opportunity that creates a lot of transactions. And anytime there's
Mm-hmm.
transactions on a large money level, everybody wins.
So let's talk. I mean, capital gains, even though this is a real estate group, isn't just going to be for the real estate owners, right? There's going to be a lot of legacy businesses where people have wanted to sell, but perhaps they're nearing retirement, but they're like, man, just with things that are so uncertain with coronavirus, or whatever, they thought they were going to hold out another 5 years. They may hear this and they may sell their business. They may like sell their stocks. They might sell their gold that's, you know, gone up 50% in the last month. There's a lot of different things. It's not just going to be the real estate side, right? I mean, talk about all the areas that could be impacted.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking everything from collectibles and investments in gold and jewelry and things of that nature to real estate, to land, to rental properties, to businesses, to shares of Apple stock that's skyrocketed, all across the board, all sorts of different versions of capital gains. Even if you're not actively doing anything and you have investments in mutual funds or in the stock market, there's things that's organically buying and selling. You're just going to see a lower tax rate in general on your tax return from buying and selling stocks in a year that uh, there's been some pretty big increases in the
Yeah.
market, especially if you got in March and April. So it's going to have a lot more impact, but I do see probably 80% of it coming in the real estate world. Um, I don't know a whole lot of business owners that this may drive the needle, but it could. I got one client right now. He's looking at a $10 million business sale. It's not supposed to take place until 2022, but this may be an incentive. Let's go ahead and bring this thing to the table a lot quicker. You're talking about 10% on $10 million. That adds up pretty fast.
And hey, that's probably going to be a deal for a deal booster for everybody, right? If you're looking
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, I'll give you a 5% price reduction if I can," I mean, just
Let's speed it
all
up.
the things that'll come out of it. It'll be exciting to see. So, if that were to happen, do you have any idea of when we would know, or what does that look like in actually finding out?
I don't know for sure. When I look at historically how things like this have happened, we're probably looking at a 30 to 60-day window of this taking place and actually coming to fruition. Here's what I don't know. I don't know the duration of the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
It's automatically assumed it's going to be at least for the rest of this year, but the speculation is it'll be for this year and all of next year.
Mm.
So let's say it starts September 15th or October 1st. They may make it retroactive. Not sure there, but we're probably going to see it last. The speculation is through December of next year. So,
Do you think retroactively, if there are people out there they've sold a business, call it in February of 2020, and this becomes retroactive and they're sitting on $1 million in their tax account because they were thinking they're going to have to pay it in, Q1 of 2021. You go, holy cow, I just got a raise and I got all this cash now that was, for Uncle Sam. I hadn't paid it to him, and that's just more money coming into the market.
sure, absolutely. I mean, man, I'd be doing backflips in that situation. Uh, you thought this was happening, and now you got an extra $100,000, and sure, let me invest it in the stock market, or let me go
Mm-hmm.
out and buy a new car, or let me take my
You'd
wife
get a
on a
boat,
vacation.
wouldn't you, Chad? You'd be like, I'm gonna get a boat.
Listen, I can't find a boat, dude. I've been trying to buy a new boat for like 4 months. Boat market's
Guys, if you aren't
boring.
following Chad, go follow him at do you do it on your personal or on Serial CFO where you always post about your boat?
I do it more on personal. Personal Instagram is Chad Brownett, but on the business side, it's Serial CFO, and I mix in
Chad
some
cracks
boat.
me up, man. He's been working on this DIY boat, and he just like every Saturday he posts his adventures of like, hey, I learned how to do this on a boat today. And it's just you just crack. I'm like, hey, man, if there's no taxes, we're getting Chad a new boat. Donald Trump is going to get Chad a new boat.
I'm working on it. Hey, like seriously, it's interesting how Corona's affected certain things.
Yeah,
Uh, Boats are gone.
really.
Give you an example. I'm looking for I buy used. I'm looking for a used Key West, and used I can get on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, and there's probably 50 within a couple hundred miles. For the last 2 months, there's zero.
Really?
The the reason I'm DIY working on my boat, I took it to a marine dealership that can do some work on it. They usually have about 40 boats on their lot. They have like 6, and they said it was going to be 6 weeks before they could even pull my boat in to look at it. Like the
Hmm.
best case, we could even diagnose it 6 weeks. So I'm getting way off topic here, but just some
No,
interesting boat
I
stuff.
mean,
And
but that's a ripple effect. I mean,
yeah,
no one expects a boat service industry to be
crushing it,
impacted,
crushing it right now. Yeah.
but that's something that if capital gains were eliminated or all these other things happen or a second round of stimulus, people don't see the ripple effects of how it works. Something as small as taking the cap gains from 20 to 10 could, as a business owner who does anything, as someone who owns a boat repair shop, as someone who washes windows, I mean, you could just see this boom, and you need to be on top of what's happening, how it's going to affect you. And then really what I think is look for opportunities. They're going to
Mhm.
exist out there because of what's happening. I mean, I think that who would have predicted in February or March that the boat business would be on fire?
Sure,
Absolutely nobody.
absolutely.
If you know how to work on boats, go open up a boat repair shop right now and charge double, just because
Yeah.
nobody else can look at your boat.
If you've got a boat you're not using anymore, put it on Facebook. You'll sell
Yeah.
it for a really high price right now. You wait
Yeah.
till this capital gains thing goes through, and you'll probably sell it for more. That's the perfect example. I mean, the place I'm seeing it more than anywhere else right now, online retail.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, this Christmas season for online retail is going to be huge. It's going to be unbelievable what kind of online retail impact we're going to see because the local in-person shopping is just not taking place, and we're going to see Christmas season start really early online. You tack onto that investors selling things, putting way more money in their pocket. can you imagine the online retail and transactions we're about to see over the next 4 months? It's going to be crazy. So if you have an online business, you need to start thinking about these things, whether it's
Start
anything
building
from,
that email list and start
yeah, from
marketing it.
courses
Yeah.
to retail products to anything. That there is opportunity right now in so many areas.
Mm-hmm.
You get your head out of the sand and you start looking at the positives and looking at the angles of where you can win. It is not all doom and gloom in the business world like you're hearing and seeing. There's opportunities everywhere in different
Mm-hmm.
ways and things to do right now. I
But
think
you got
it's
to
a
be
pretty
willing
cool
to
time.
change.
Sure, absolutely. You better be fluid or you're in trouble.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, listen, I appreciate that. And then, I want to get you back into the group here. Whenever we do find out more, because it's sounding like over the next month or so, there's going to be more of these updates that people, like we're saying right now, need to be aware of, need to be on top of. This isn't, I mean, I think that the government puts out like 700 pages of law changes a day, and obviously nobody reads those. But this is important stuff. These are things that are going to affect your wealth, your money, and these are things that you need to stay on top of. And I think, I really hope that last time we talked about the PPP and they still had money and the EIDL. And I think a lot of people walked away from that and they went and applied and got funds that changed their life for the better, helped their business stay open where it may be. So these are important. It's important to watch these. This is different than, the cat videos that are here on Facebook. These are things that are helping you, make moves, be better in your business, help your financial life out. So I super appreciate it. And then, we'll just stay posted, and I'm on your email list. Is there any chance that, I know you send out email updates, if somebody was watching this and they wanted to get those email updates from you, how would they do that?
Absolutely. Great question. Easiest thing, shoot me an email. My email is pretty simple. It's chad@thetaxshelter.com.
Okay.
Shoot me an email or reach out to me on Instagram, social media, Serial CFO on Facebook or Instagram. Shoot me a message. Say, hey, add me to your email list. I'm sending out emails to my clients and to contacts almost weekly now with way more detail in videos and in writing on these changes and things. So, go follow the Instagram. You'll get a lot of info there. Reach out to me, email or DM, and I'll add you to the list and keep you updated, because we're going to continue to see change. I mean, one thing right now, this is pretty exciting. There's a bill on the floor that automatically forgives all PPP loans under 150 grand. You don't have to do the application. You don't have to send payroll reports. You don't have to prove it. All PPP loans under 150 gone. Don't even worry about sending us anything. Don't send anything into your bank. So there's a lot of things in the works right now. There's a lot of things coming down the pipe. There's going to be more changes. There's an election year is freaking crazy, but it's pretty exciting, and
Yeah.
staying in the know is huge.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I know we talked about PPP. I think those all got closed down, but I could be wrong there. I mean, if anyone in their business is struggling right now, is EIDL or PPP still open?
From my knowledge, they did close down August 8th, I believe, the PPP, and the EIDL is still open and still available. Part of some of these second stimulus packages, I think it's the Restart Act is the one that's gaining the most traction right now. There's other loans and forgivable opportunities for small businesses we're going to see come out. Some of them are going to be more industry specific. So there's going to be, both sides of the aisle agree there needs to be a lot more small business entrepreneurs, self-employed help. So we're going to see more loans. We're going to see more things. It may be the PPP come back. It may be something different. So there's going to be options and things. But right now, from my knowledge, the PPP did close out on August 8th, but the EIDL is still open and there's still some funds available there.
So you got to have an entity. You have to own an entity of some sort. You can't be an individual to take advantage of these. Or, I guess independent contractors can. I guess where I'm going with this is, if we were anticipating something to come out, I know in the last round they were telling us, hey, you had to be open for 3 months, whatever. Is there any reason that somebody, if they didn't have an entity right now, should go out and start one? Just in, essentially an ante up of the $400, $700 it costs to start an entity for the potential, $30,000 loan at ridiculous interest rates, or even $30,000 of free money.
Sure, I would think so, for a couple of reasons. You create this entity, you've also all of a sudden got more tools, to operate with during
Mm-hmm.
a time where being fluid is huge. Number two, you got more tools to save on taxes. It
Mm-hmm.
gives somebody like me way more to work with from a tax return standpoint. And number three, We don't know how long this is going to last. We
Yeah.
don't know when the second stimulus is going to come. We don't know if there's going to be a third stimulus. We don't know what the next year holds. So if I were
We
thinking
could
about
have an 8 stimulus package
man,
this time
who
next year.
freaking knows at this point? So
Yeah.
yes, spending a little money on the front end to start an entity seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good advice. I think if you don't have an entity right now, there's really no downsides in going out and doing that. So cool, man. Well, hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for your time. And everybody, if you want to reach out to Chad, that's Serial, not like the cereal you eat, but like the serial killer with an S, CFO on Instagram, or reach out to him, Chad at thetaxshelter.com. Until next time, Chad, see you.
Thanks, Aiden.
See you.